Before you get into the real estate market, get clarity, perspective, and the information you need.
I've been listening to you, and I love your show.
Right here with broker owner Dan Gemis, host of the Dan Gemis Real Estate Show.
Okay, welcome back to the show on this Sunday afternoon. Finally getting some rain, hopefully today. We'll see what happens. But our grass and our bushes, our landscaping, they all need it. So farmers are hoping for it. Everyone's got their fingers crossed. The forest fires all over the place.
That's been crazy. You see those pictures in New York?
It's painful to see.
We apologize.
Blame Canada.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
Sorry.
we're sorry. But what do you do? Okay, so it's time for, I should say we've got Joyce Blackmere, Aaron Blackmere on the air with us today as well. And it's time for our mortgage tip for the day here. And we have on the phone with us Ron Bondi with the Super Mortgage team at Dominion Lending. Hey, Ron, how are you?
It's fantastic. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. We're enjoying the beautiful weekend here, and you got a great topic today. It's all about credit scores, which I think will interest everyone listening.
Yeah, for sure. Because you would be surprised at the amount of people that have no clue what is a good score, what's a bad score, or where they're at. Now, sometimes I like to joke with my clients, and 95% of them, when I pull their credit score, I tell them it, and then I'm like, so is that a good score or bad score? And they'll look at me and they're like, good, I hope. And I always say,
I hope,
horrible,
fingers crossed.
horrible.
Yeah.
Even the 5% that say, yeah, that's good. After a silent period of me just looking at them, they said, is it good?
Nice.
So, that being said, so what is a good credit score? So good credit score.
Before you go that far, what's a perfect credit score, Ron?
What's a perfect credit score? Perfect credit score is 900.
Got it.
Why is it 900 and not 1,000? I don't know. 900.
You're honest.
Yeah,
that's next week's show.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll do my research. So what is a good credit score? So a good credit score is anything over 680. Lenders typically like you to be between 680 and 720. So as long as you're over 680, you're pretty good. 650, you can still get qualified with a lender, but the rules change. Your GDS, TDS go down, and your down payment amount has to go down. If you're under 600, well, that's when you start to get in trouble. The A lenders will not look at you anymore, so you're going to B lender. And once you get even lower, you have to go to private.
Ron, random question. Yeah. What is the lowest score you've ever seen?
Tell my score, Ron.
Well, other than 0.
Yeah. If someone doesn't have any credit.
You do see a lot of zeros because people that don't have established credit or just have never used it, you pull their credit, it's a 0. But as for people that are ruining their credit and getting bad ones, the lowest was about 480.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, interesting.
So now, what lowers your credit score? So there's many different things that lower your credit score. One of the main things being late or missed payments. So even if you're late, try not to miss it completely, but both lower your credit score. High credit usage is a big one that a lot of people don't think of. So if you have a credit card that has a $10,000 balance on it and you're constantly at $9,999, every month when they put that interest on your card, that goes over your limit. And then you make your minimum payment, it drops it back under. But every month you're hitting your credit negatively. And not to mention you're at your max credit utilization. So you always, for your total portfolio, meaning your house, your car loans, your credit lines, your credit cards, total portfolio, you want to be at 30% of credit usage. So this is why you hear a lot of people saying, don't close credit cards because it could affect you negatively. Like, closing a credit card doesn't take away any points, but what it does is it lowers that credit utilization, that buffer that you have, and also could negatively affect your credit history, because your time of credit is a big one that also affects your credit. So if you take one of those cards that you had since you were in high school and now you're 40 and you're like, I don't use this card anymore, I'm going to use this one that has better points, and you close that card that you had for high school, well, then you just shortened your credit history quite a bit, and that could affect your score.
Interesting.
Now, let's do what positively affects your score, because we always like to end on a positive note, right, Dan?
Of course, Ron, you're right.
Right. So, pay your bills on time. That positively affects your credit score. Now, if you're trying to build your credit, and let's say they only gave you a $500 card, and you go get gas once a week, well, hey, that's probably $500, right? So,
Yes.
you're gonna want to pay that card off every time you use it, to try to keep that credit utilization low, so it has the best impact on your credit. But typically, if you have a higher balance, try not to go over 50% of your card usage, and pay it monthly, and then you'll be fine. Minimize your credit application. So even a big one, so I just wanted to mention this big one that a lot of people aren't aware, that really affects a lot of people's credit, is they walk into the bank and the banks are like, hey, you're eligible for a $10,000 line of credit. You want to take it? Or, hey, your credit card has a $20,000 limit on it. Why don't we increase it to 30? And if every time you say yes, that hits your credit. A lot of people don't know that.
That's interesting. All right.
Yeah. Maintain a good mix of credit types. For example, like mortgage, credit card being a Visa and a MasterCard, two different ones, at major banks as well. So not your Canadian Tire card, get a major Big Five bank. That helps your credit score. Loans, go to Teppermans, and instead of buying the furniture right away, get a loan for it. And then don't do the delayed payment, start paying it right away. And that will improve your credit, because you're showing that you have a diversity in credit, and you can manage the diversity.
But don't do it until after your house has closed and you've moved in.
Exactly. That was 2 weeks ago. Yes, definitely don't do it before your house closes. Always.
I was just going to ask, Ron, there are times and there are situations where, again, you've approved somebody, they close in 2 months, but could they get in trouble by going to, buying a car after that, before they close their house, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, for sure, because that totally messes up with your total debt servicing. So if your total debt servicing, let's face it, most people are pretty close to their max when they're buying a house these days. You add a car in there, well, you just messed up your approval, because they're going to look at your credit and they're going to be like, okay, like, where did this car come from? This wasn't here before.
Yeah.
And you'll be over, and then you could possibly be needing to go to a B lender or a private just by buying that car. But if you bought it after the house closes, nobody cares. They're all happy.
What are they going to do? Exactly. Now, there are situations, like you mentioned earlier, where you, in a super mortgage team, you're able to help somebody with a lower score, correct?
For sure, yes. We can help anybody from a 0 up to 900. So we treat you all the same. We have situations or lenders that will fit your situation.
Interesting. Including zeros, Aaron. See? You'll qualify.
Yeah,
You're good.
awesome. I'm looking good
Yeah,
here.
even 0, I can get you something.
A quick question for you,
Don't
Ron.
drag me down.
No, yes, sorry. I was just going to ask you quickly, Ron. Is it true that having bad credit's better than having no credit?
No.
Okay. Just something I've heard in the past. Not that I have bad credit. It's just something I've heard in the past, and I didn't know if that was true or not.
So, it all depends. It definitely all depends. If you're new to Canada and you don't have credit, well, then there's ways around that. Programs where we can, as long as you have a cell phone for 6 months, or as long as you paid utility bills for 6 months, or as long as you rented a house for 6 months, we can use that as credit, even though it's not on the credit bureau. But if you are 40 years old, lived in Canada your whole life, and has never used credit, that's looked upon really poorly, because now you're going for a house and you've never managed any credit. So
Right.
lenders are going to be very shy to lend to you. So in that case, I would probably say bad credit or no credit is about the same, because we're both going to private at that point.
Right. Okay.
But if you had bad credit and you rebuilt it, then you're golden. But if you had no credit, you didn't do nothing, well, then you're in trouble too.
Sure. Okay.
And one last thing I wanted to mention, which is a big one that a lot of people don't do, is you can get a free copy of your credit report and review it yourself for errors. There are always a lot of errors on somebody's credit bureau. A debt that they paid out that never, that the company never sent in the paperwork to close that debt out with the credit bureau. So that's sitting on your credit as owing for years. Or a lot of people don't know that they're in a collection because, like a lot of people that rent, and if they move or they sold their house and they moved, and then they have the address registered with the business at a different household, well, the collection goes to that house. Nobody's there. So a lot of people have this collection on their credit bureau that they don't know. So always, it's good to request a free copy at least once a year of your credit report, and just take a look for inconsistencies.
Fair enough. Some great tips today, Ron. How does anyone reach out to your team if you have any questions?
So if you want to reach out to me, you can call me on my cell phone, 519-791-2961. You can email me at ronbondy@supermortgageteam.ca, or you can find me on the website at ronaldbondy.ca, or they can contact one of your lovely agents.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate your help as always, and we'll see you in the office this week.
Thank you, guys. See you then.
Ron
ya.
Bondy with the Super Mortgage team at Dominion Lending. Great guy, and yeah, lots of great information there. Hope everyone got something out of that.
I sure did.
We learned some stuff here too, for sure. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to give away the gift card for the Richmond Popcorn Company. If you haven't already entered, you can still text in to win. The keyword is movie, MOVIE, with your first and last name to 10800. We'll give that away, and we'll come back with a discussion on deposits with Christian Janice, real estate lawyer. Okay, lots more to come right here on the Dan Gemis Real Estate Show.